said, we have to do something to make our comic book look good. And unfortunately, we don't have any markers. We don't have colored pencils to put over our marker base. So brilliant, bright colors is kind of out of the question. We're going to have to do black and white. And I've taught you guys a little bit about shading. So I'm going to do a shading demo today just so you kind of get it. I believe I may have posted a really long shading demo, but I want you guys to have a chance to work today because, like I said, 3 days. Okay, so how do we shade? Well, basically, you have hard edge shadows, which fill in areas relatively even. All right. And you have gradual shadows. I'm going to bring this in for a close up if it'll work. All right. And let me take a quick look and see if I can even see those lines. Oh, good. I can kind of see those lines. All right. So if you're practicing your shadows, what you want to do is be able to control the amount of pressure that you put down on your paper. Now, this here is called a gradation scale. One scale or one box is going to be as dark as humanly possible, yet even. Now, you might say pure black. Graphite isn't really pure black. Charcoal gets close to pure black. Graphite, not really. And you'll notice as I'm shading this, I'm going along in a circle. So I don't know if you guys can see that pattern. But the reason I'm doing that is so I don't leave little open areas. A lot of times people try to shade like this. They're like, am I done? I'm like, no, dude, there's all kinds of holes in it. And then they go back and they're like, am I done now? You know. How about now? No. How about now? And it just looks awful. All right. You can take a little more time and shade correctly, or you can spend a lot of time shading it all messed up. So that's basically how you can look at it. Yeah, it takes a little while longer to do it right, but it takes a whole lot longer to be told, do it over again, do it over again, do it over again, do it over again. So take your time. As I always tell my students, give your drawing some love. You know, make it feel like you care about it. Because if you don't care about your drawing, nobody else will. All right. So I'm going to leave one totally white over here. I actually could have gone a little lighter on that one. And I'm going to go a little darker here. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, I made a foible. All right. So I got a step darker. I'm going to do over here, step darker more. And you can see, even though I'm rushing, and it's going to be a little darker here. And the thing is, you can either press harder or you can keep going over your graphite. So you can build your value. Now, we think of value as colors, right? You're like, if you could get a car, what color would it be? Oh, I'd get black, or I'd get white, or I'd get gray. Technically, those three things are not colors, they're values. So black is the absence of light, white is the absence of color, and gray is the baby between those two things. All right. So I slowly go from dark, slightly lighter, lighter, lighter. Honestly, this could be like 30 long, and it would probably be more exact. You don't have to do a 30 long one. It's just so you get a little practice. And in fact, if you look at these are about double the thickness of a pencil because we got stuff to do. And I'm going to do a gradation one here. So I'm going to start at this end. I'm going to go dark. I'm going to try to fade this out. Now, the difference between doing this one and doing the other one is that you're going to have to layer a lot. So you're going to have to go back into these spaces, shade on top of your shade on top of your shade. So it slowly goes from dark to light. It fades into that dark, or fades into that light. Really, to do a nice one would probably take me another 4 or 5 minutes. But you get the general idea of that. Now, how does light work? Well, depending how bright the light is going to depend on how big or how intense your shadow is going to be. So we're going to draw a couple of forms here. All right, so that you get a chance. We're going to do a diamond on its side. All right. The diamond on its side is going to get a leg extended from each corner that would be visible. So really what we're doing here is we're doing a cheater's method of 2-point perspective. And you're like, well, why didn't we do that the whole time? Well, because it works great on one object. It doesn't work great on a bunch of objects that are supposed to be in the same area. So what I did is I did my diamond. I did 1 leg, 2 leg, 3 leg, and then I just paralleled the edges of the diamond, right? Like a diamond. All right, so I got that form. Then I'm going to do a diamond with a fat booty. And I'll put a line through it. Ooh, pyramid, right? All right, now check this out. Ellipse, line going down on the left, line going down on the right, off the edge of the ellipse. I'm going to make a curve here. All right, and lastly, I'm going to do a sphere. All right, I'm going to give you like a minute to do that because for some of you, that's going to be a little more complicated than you thought when you started. All right, so let's talk about light and how light affects things. A lot of times when I do a drawing, I throw an arrow here just to remind me where the light's coming from. Now, in reality, real life, you could have multiple light sources. It could be off from one angle, it could be light from above. There could be light bouncing off your t-shirt if you have a light colored t-shirt. Sometimes the color in a painting, you will have the light bounce off the t-shirt and the color will bounce off the t-shirt, kind of giving a glow or a cast. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody wear neon green t-shirts. They kind of make your skin look green. All right, so here's how shadows behave. And let's assume it's not a super bright light, it's just an average light. If the light's coming this way in the form of a flashlight or a candle or a spotlight or a headlight, it's going to hit this surface and leave it all white. All right, just like you shine a flashlight in your face, it doesn't get darker, it gets brighter. This corner is going to cut the flow of light to the other object. And then at that point, this side becomes an even darkness. Ooh, that felt fun to say, an even darkness. A boom, 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 boom. Now the top is going to get a slightly lighter, or maybe a lot lighter, depending on the angle of that light. Like if it's coming down, if it's coming straight across, it's probably going to be a lot closer to the dark. But for the sake of argument today, light side, dark side, lighter, dark side. All right. And that's basically how you would shade a building. Like if you didn't have an actual building to look at, you would figure out which way you want the light to come from. Light would hit it. There'd be, maybe the top would be dark. One side farthest away from the light where the light is cut by the corner, call that hard edge, that would be darker. Same shadow would apply to our pyramid. Booyah. So I've got a light side and a dark side, if that's how I'm seeing my pyramid. Now, anything that is rounded, all right? Now, these are going to be bodies. These might be monsters. Certain cars are rounded. You know, cars are kind of weird because they'll have hard edge shadows. Sometimes they'll have gradual shadows. UPS postal trucks don't, but you know. It's going to start out light, closest to the light source. And it's slowly going to get darker and darker and darker the farther it gets away from that curve. And I like to think of these curving shadows kind of like our planet, because it doesn't turn night all of a sudden, right? You've got a warning. It slowly goes darker. Otherwise, if the Earth was a cube, it would turn, and then all of a sudden you'd be like, ah, crap, it's dark. I can't see anything. Man, do you have a flashlight? I don't. I'm scared. You would be like that. I think you'd be more like that because your planet had turned into a cube instead of a sphere. Because I can't even imagine what would be at the point. Sometimes I can't imagine what the point is. All right, so I have this nice gradual shadow. So that might be an arm, a leg, a finger, whatever the case may be. The spheres are usually the hardest. I kind of draw out an area that is going to be my spot, like where the light hits it. And then I start to do my shadow kind of like in a curve. In this case, it'd be a backwards letter C, but it's going to slowly get darker, and it's going to get darker toward the edge of the sphere. Now, shading a sphere correctly looks really cool. Shading spheres can be fun and relaxing when you're ignoring your other work. Also makes you a better artist. It's always important to at least come away with high school with one skill. Doesn't matter what it is, but it's good if you're good in something, you know, other than making paper footballs like in game. Woo! All right, so that's how you do it. Hard edge, gradual, gradual. Now, every form, both hard edge, which would usually be geometric, and gradual, which would usually be organic, are going to have what's known as casted shadows. So there will be shadows that come off the object. They may not be as dark as that side because they might be getting some ambient light from someplace else. Booyah, 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 booyah. And depending on the angle or the intensity of light will really depend on how long that casted shadow is. All right. So I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to mess around with that. Take a look at the clock, see where we're at. All right. We still got 14 minutes. That's good. All right. Hopefully at this point, you have finished drawing your picture, your comic cover. You got all your important information on there. A person, house, and tree, you've cleaned up the lines a little bit so the lines look legit. Here's where you have to go and start applying those shades that we just talked about, right? So I'm going to set a light source, and I'm going to do that with an arrow, just like we talked about. So I can kind of remember, I'll keep it simple. And I'll have my light come from the left. I do that a lot. All right. So I will have hard edge and gradual shadows. Now, I never connected up the top of my eye, right? So if I wanted to, I could start to shade that eye like a sphere. Especially because I never connected it. it should look pretty jamming. Now, if your drawings are all done, which I'm hoping they are, you could take a couple days to shade this because, you know, to do it nicely, it's probably going to take a little bit of time. This one would be a hard edge shadow because the light would be cut by this corner, right? And it would go down this way. Boom, 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 boom. And then this part and this part, well, this part should be as dark as the other one because this side and this side are both right sides of that form. So they should be the same value. Right? And normally if I had connected up that eye, you wouldn't see this line going to the vanishing point. So I fudged a little bit there, but I think it should look pretty good when I'm done. I'm also going to take and make this a slightly lighter shadow underneath the T. All right? And then I'll do the same thing to my M. Like so. This is going to be slightly lighter here on the inside of the M. And the bottom parts are going to have a partial gray shadow. And if I'm careful, I can do it almost all at the same time. Now, if you wanted your fronts real dark and your sides light, well, you know, that's up to you and your vanishing point and your shadows. You're the one playing this game. And as I go from side to side here, it would change up, right? This part would become the lighter, because in theory, the light would hit this side. Is there going to be some questionable looking shadows here? Yeah, I think there are. I'm going to make the underside gray, just like I tried to make the undersides here. And then you can decide what you want to do with the front of the letter once it crosses that middle part. Which bottoms would be gray. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Like so. All right, let me see how far. Okay, good. We still got 10 minutes. So depending what you wrote for your word, depending if you had block letters or bubble letters, that should really give you a hint as to how you would start to shade this piece. Man, I missed a lot of corners on this when I did this. We were probably running out of time at that point. All right. In theory also, same thing would apply to this building. This corner cuts the shadow. The right side of the building becomes even and darker. How much darker? Really depends on you. If you make it too dark, you might want to go back, and if you have brick lines or windows, you might want to have to kind of put a little pressure on them, make them a little darker so they pop out more. There's my nice division line, like so. All right, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes just to mess with your letters up on top there, so you get kind of a feel for it. And also, if you run into any trouble with it, you can ask me a question. Say, what do I do in this case? What do I do in that case? Did I finish that completely? No, I did not. I got most of time done. I got scattered parts on fall done. So take a couple minutes, mess with that. Now, I shaded that at a ridiculous speed. but I'm also almost 55 years old. So I've got a couple of decades on you drawing wise. So take it slow, make it look good. There's no reason for you guys to rush through it. I'm probably showing you 2-3 days worth of work all within like 30 minutes. And it's going to look like I try to show you in 30 minutes. That's why I want yours to look nice. All right, so the even shadows like that are usually the easiest ones to do because they're even. You know, you look at the area next to it, if it's not the same type of gray or the same type of dark, you just come back and you add a little more on there until you get what you want. The body, however, and I have no idea why I drew my character wearing, looks like tights. I'm really an anti-tights kind of character guy. Or jeggings. It's part jeans, part leggings. His far side of the thigh here, darker, because we remember our light source is going this way. And then I slowly use less and less pressure. And I put a fade on his leg. Oh, that's pretty cool. Can I do that all the way down? Yes, I can. Am I going to do that over here? Yes, I am, because I have to put those fades basically on every part of the body that would be rounded. They're all going to have their own fade. So his arm, lighter on the top, darker on the bottom. Each and every one of his fingers I would do. And actually, to really stress that point of each and every finger. What did I just do with that picture? I don't know. A close-up of these fingers might show it a little better. In this case, I have the light coming from this side. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a gradation over each one of these fingers. Right, top of his horns, I'm going to do the same thing. Put a little bit of shadow on there. I can even do it on his entire face. Also, if I want to make it look like there's a divot from eyebrow to oddly shaped comedy tragedy face eye, I can do that divot. And the eyes should be darker. Just like here in the lapel of the shirt, this arm. Right. So kind of so forth and so far. All right, we still got a minute, so you guys can keep working for another minute. All right, cool. Now I will give you guys time in class on Wednesday to work on this. I might do a few more pointers, but I'm not going to talk anywhere near as much as I did now. And in back of my mind, I'm always hoping that you're drawing and listening, because you know, once you watch me shade something, you probably figure out it's going to be the same for every hearted shadow or gradual shadow. So that's where we're at. Exciting. All right, we're out of time, guys. Have a good day. Glad I made it back for at least one class, and I'm glad it was you guys. So stay safe, stay out of trouble. I will see you all later. Bye-bye.